There are some other species of coral. This is called a branching coral. As you can see, from a small starting point, it keeps on branching, and these are also known as the reef building corals because they're building their own structure, and this structure then allows for other fish and other animal to hide in between them. So these are again very important species of corals for the reefs. Yeah, another reef building corals. These are called the what fan corals. You must have heard about these a lot, and they literally grow like a fan. And again, very beautiful patterns and amazing species of corals to see under the water. Yeah, here we have one of our favorite marine animals, that is the sea stars or starfish. Yeah, and these are also very close relatives to the sea cucumbers that we saw earlier and the sea urchins. And some of them eat other corals, some of them eat other kind of marine animals, and very interesting animals. Their entire structure and their entire makeup and anatomy is again a very interesting thing to study. So those who are interested in marine biology would really find sea stars and sea cucumbers very, very fascinating. Yeah. Here we have a lobster hiding into the inside a rock. Again, these animals are more likely to see in the night. So there are many coastal communities and many coastal fishermen who actually go at night with torch and go for spear fishing. So by spear hunting, they can it's much easier to catch these lobsters and other animals. And as I said, the spear fishing and hunting is also very, very sustainable method of hunting. But some communities still hunt animals like stingrays and manta rays. These animals are already at a verge of extinction, and there are very few of these. So hunting these animals, though the method of hunting impacts very few of these animals, but still has a negative impact. Yeah. Then here we have a cuttlefish.
How do you see these things at night?
So usually we carry underwater lights, and that's how this animal I have seen during the day. This image is not captured at night. Yeah, but usually those who go for night diving, they usually carry torches, underwater torches with them. It's a what we can say a bit of expensive hobbies because any underwater light or gear or anything is very costly for that matter. So it's a expensive hobby for to follow. Yeah, but at night you have a different world that is open to you. Here we have a octopus hiding inside the rock. Yeah, you can only see the eyes over here. What is very interesting is that earlier when I started, now we are moving towards photographs that I have taken during snorkeling. Okay, these are no longer images that I have taken during intertidal walks or in just ankle deep waters. These are images that I have taken during snorkeling and free diving. Now what is interesting is I spent over 6 months in the same kind of waters, and what used to happen is I never saw octopus, and I was very curious because these divers and people who used to go for scuba diving used to see these octopus very frequently. And so I was also very curious, why am I not able to see octopuses? But once what happened is when I went very close to the reef, it was very shallow waters, and I went very close to the reef, and surprisingly, a stone changed its color from the entire being camouflage. It changed its color to white. I was surprised ki how did this stone change its color? And later on, what I found out, it was an octopus. And I was not able to differentiate between the stone around it and the octopus. It had completely camouflaged its entire, not just its color, but also its skin texture to mimic that of the rock around it. And what had happened is when I had gone close to it, instead of being just camouflage, it decided to show me a warning coloration that was of this white coloration. Okay, so in octopuses, or rather, let's say this species of octopus, what it does, it stays camouflage when any predator or any animal is very far off. But if any animal or any person comes very close by, it changes its coloration to first white, and then when someone comes very close by, it changes its coloration to bright red. So these are its warning coloration. So only when I was very close to close to the reef, that's when I could know when this animal would feel threatened and would actually show its coloration. I will quickly go ahead. Here we have a clownfish, also very well known as Nemo. So what is very interesting about this animal or this fish is that they actually live in these sea anemones, which are again very close relative of your jellyfish. And all these tentacles that you see are actually venomous. So they are these small, tiny harpoon-like cells which can inject venom whenever someone touches them, right? But what these clownfish have done is they have got resistance to the stings, and they have created a symbiotic relationship between them and the sea anemone. There's another species of clownfish called yellow banded clownfish. And again, you have a different species of anemone and a different species of clownfish living in them. Here we have a lionfish. You can see the spines on the back of this animal, and all these spines will have high amount of venom and very powerful venom. So in some places like Florida, what has happened is many people. That's why I'm somewhat against the habit of keeping pets. Okay, because for us, small pets and small animals may seem cute, but what happens is people many times, and especially children, what happens is and again, I'm not excusing myself. As a kid, even I loved animals, and I forced my parents to buy me a puppy. But what happened is over the time, as the animals grow up, the feeling of affection towards these animals many times goes down, and many people then release these animals, and sometimes very difficult to maintain the adults of these species. And many times what happens is we release these animals out in the open ocean and wild habitats, and then they create havoc in the new habitats that they are released in. So similar example with this lionfish, what happened is many aqua people who maintain saltwater aquariums, they started keeping these lionfish because they look beautiful, right? And what happened is when they became very big for the tank, they released them in the oceans. So what happened in places like Florida, these animals did not have any natural predators. So the number of these lionfish grew in such large numbers, and these animals are very voracious predators. So they started eating the native marine fish, crabs, and other kind of animals, and they created a very negative impact in these habitats. So sometimes that may seem innocent and not very impactful, creates a very negative impact. Another very interesting animal and a very common fish seen in these waters is the sergeant major. The reason it called name sergeant majors is because of these bands that looks like a badge on a captain or a person from army or navy, right? That's why the name sergeant majors. Very active fish, very interesting fish to see in these coral landscapes. Then you have fusiliers, again a very common fish. Then there are species like surgeon fish. Again, these fish are more like cleaner fish, and sometimes what happens is you have got animals like manatees, dugongs, and bigger animals like sea turtles. They come to these reefs during early morning just to get their skin cleaned by the surgeon fish. That's why the name surgeon fish, and they're really good cleaners for other animals. They are like dentists and what we can say, uh, like a spa treatment for all these bigger animals, right? Again, this is the parrotfish that I had talked earlier about. The males have very bright coloration, and here you have got three females behind them. So they have got dull coloration, more like the birds that we see on land. This is bumphead parrotfish, very huge fish, again species of parrotfish, and they are just humongous. They are fantastic to see in the ocean. A bit rare to see these guys, but again, very fantastic animals, right? Emperor angelfish, a very brilliantly colored fish, very interesting to see during a snorkeling trip or a scuba diving trip. Again, a bit rare to see these guys. I've seen it only once or twice, but whenever you see these, it's just very cheerful and very experienced. This is a moray eel that I had seen. We earlier spoke about these guys, and they look ferocious, no doubt. They are nothing less than aliens. And what there's a very interesting story about these guys. So what is very interesting is that actually I was trying to take photograph of this coral over here, and there are a lot of these Christmas tree worms on the corals above. And I was just going diving and then taking the images. And suddenly, out of nowhere, this huge moray eel came out of this hidden cracks and crevices. So usually these moray eels will be hidden in small caves and small kind of tunnels, and they are also kind of ambush predators. So they will wait for prey to come towards them, and then they will lunge out of their burrows and then try to capture them. So it was a very scary experience because it just came out of nowhere, and it was not just scary but also amazing experience to see this animal come out and just say hi to me. Yeah, this is a spadefish, also known as a batfish, because the juvenile looks more like a has very long wings. They have a lot of dimorphism. Dimorphism means changes in the body structure from the juvenile stage to the adult stage. Yeah, so just take a good look at this fish, and I'll just go back and show you another image that I have very recently captured. Hold on. Okay. So do you think this fish and the fish that we saw earlier is similar? Does it look like the same fish?
Similar, but not the same. Similar.
Yeah, it doesn't look anything only the coloration is a bit similar, but the entire structure is very different, right? So actually, this is the juvenile stage of that fish. Okay, so as I said, this is called dimorphism. So the reason many of the marine animals and fish usually have what we can say age dimorphism. Usually, there is sexual dimorphism, which we saw in the parrotfish. As I said, the male was very brightly colored and the female was dull colored. So that is sexual dimorphism. Depending on the sex of the animal, there's a difference in coloration and the body structure, right? But this is age dimorphism, where you have a differentiation in coloration depending on the age. So in this species, the juvenile and many other species of fish, you have coloration change and the body changes in the younger ones. The reason is there's a lot of competition in these adult fishes. So if the juvenile fish also looks similar to the adult, what will happen? The adult species of this fish will feel that the younger juvenile are competition and try to attack them and fight with them. So to avoid that kind of fighting, these fish have a different as long as they're juvenile, they will have a different coloration and a structure, so that it keeps the adult will feel that they are different species of animals, and they will not fight with them or not attack them. So here we have a giant puffer fish. What is very interesting is these guys, as the name suggests, they puff themselves up. So if some animal tries to attack these guys, they'll just gulp in water very quickly and they'll just balloon themselves to the size of a football or a volleyball. And then what happens is any animal like a moray or a fish or a shark that is trying to eat it will have a difficult time to try to eat these animals. On other hand, what is very interesting is that many animals like dolphins, the dolphins are again very smart animals, and they actually play with these kind of animals. So what they will do is they will purposely attack a puffer fish, and then it will create it into a football, and they'll then actually play with that puffer fish like a football or a basketball. So very interesting. Again, dolphin is a very interesting animal and a very intelligent animal to study, and you'll see a lot of different behaviors in this puffer fish also and in dolphins also. So very interesting animal, and there are many different species of this puffer fish to study, and many different varieties of this puffer fish that you can see in the marine landscape, right? This is just one of the many species. So this is the special thing about free diving, is that you can actually go without technical gear like scuba diving equipment. If you're good at it, you can dive very deep and actually go close to these marine animals. And this is another image. This is a colleague of mine who had gone free diving, and she went so close to a sea turtle which was grazing seagrass at the bottom, right? So this is a special thing about free diving. If you learn the skills, you can actually go and engage with the marine biodiversity very up close and go very close to them, and see how they live their life, right? So this is another image. This was an adult green sea turtle, and because it was adult and it knew what we can say, it was a bit docile. Usually the sea turtles, when you look at them, it might feel like these sea turtles would be very slow animals, yeah, but actually they are very very fast. So whenever you come very close, so for example, if this person had come closer to the sea turtle, it would have quickly swam away. Okay, so though they may seem very from the stereotype, it may seem that turtles are slow, but actually sea turtles are very very fast in water, right? So what was very special about this sea turtle over here is that it had a bit of confidence in me. I had spent a lot of time, over half an hour. I was just swimming around it, and slowly, I moved closer to it. So by the time I came very close, it was still very calm and relaxed. It is actually a not a good behavior to induce in sea turtles, because they can then be very comfortable with the hunters and other kind of people. fantastic experience. Then you also have stingrays in these sandy beaches and seagrass plains. Huh. Here we have another species of stingrays. Here you can see how a stingray hides under the sand. You can see the entire stingray has just covered itself with sand and makes very difficult for any animal or any predator to see them. Here you can see a close-up image. I was very lucky to get so close to this animal. It was just literally sleeping, and that's why I could get so close. Or usually these guys will also very quickly swim away.